I'll just give you a little bit of information to him. Now, Paddy needs no introduction to many of us living in Paris, but to fill you in a bit for people living outside of Paris, Paddy's a dynamic frontman, an actor, a singer, a prolific songwriter, a guitarist, and what has been described as a trombone hero. He's been living and entertaining us in Paris for the past 30 years. A reviewer recently described him as the one that got away to Paris, one of Ireland's coolest and most original artists. Now, if Paddy is warmed up, I'll ask him. Yeah.
Hello! Hello there, folks. How are you all? Hang on, let me put my stuff down. I've got a lot of stuff. Because I have a trombone. It's hard to be a trombone hero.
Yeah.
You have an option, guys, to pin a video. So if you want to see Paddy as a full screen, you can just go to his video and there's an option to pin it, and you'll see Paddy in all his glory.
In all my glory, okay.
Otherwise, you can leave the gallery view, mosaic view, and see everybody at the same time. Your choice.
Okay.
Over to you again.
Okay. So, I just have a question for Paddy.
Are we on now? Am I being broadcast? Yes, okay. So, hello,
Okay.
everybody.
Can you see him, Paddy, yeah? You can see him well, can you, Desmond? Perfect.
Okay, cool.
So, Paddy, with no further ado,
Yes.
would you like to go back to the beginning and tell us about what it was like growing up in Dublin, where you were born and bred, and how did you get started into music?
I grew up in Rathfarnham in Southside Dublin.
The wrong side, sorry.
And I played piano when I was very, very young. Like
Right.
everybody in my family played music. Nobody professionally, but everybody could play music and was supposed to learn music. You know what I
Okay.
mean? All the cousins, everybody.
Okay.
And that for previous multiple generations. So I was sent to do piano. I was really good at it, but I hated it.
Right,
It
right.
just
Wasn't your thing.
wasn't my thing. And like so, at about 8 or 9, I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing the piano. And I have an uncle he just passed away, so I had an uncle, and he was smart, and he gave me a trombone when I was
Right.
9 years old.
That young, my goodness,
And
yeah.
I started, I couldn't even reach the furthest out position,
Right.
but I started, there's somebody I know. Hi Myra. So I started playing it, and then they said, okay, we'll send him to, and I went to the only place you could learn officially back then in Ireland, or in Dublin, was the Academy of Music on Westland Row.
Okay,
And they sent me to Sean Cahill, who was a brilliant teacher,
right.
and I went to him for a number of years, and I learned trombone in the basement of Westland Row.
Right.
And then I auditioned for the Irish Junior Youth Orchestra, and I got
Right.
that.
Well done.
And then from there went on to the Irish Youth Orchestra, and that's where I talked later about getting lucky. In the Irish Youth Orchestra, like, we toured in America, we played in National Concert Hall, we played beautiful places.
Wow, what a fabulous opportunity.
It was, and it was funny because I think we were too young to appreciate it. You know, it just
What
seemed
age was that now, by the time you went on tour?
junior 14, and when I went to America I was 18.
Yeah, yeah.
And we went to Boston, Symphony Hall in Boston,
Right,
which was
right.
like one of the best halls in the world.
Yeah.
Kennedy Center, no, hang on, Kennedy Center, no, Lincoln Center, Lincoln
Right.
Center in New York,
Right.
and then the Kennedy Center in Washington.
God, that's a dream.
So, or the Lincoln Center in Washington and the Kennedy Center,
Vice
whichever
versa,
one switched,
whatever.
one switched.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember. And it just, but as I said, we were kind of very blasé about it. We were just like, kind of, oh yeah, you know.
That's the way it went,
It's,
yeah.
it's only years later, or already a couple of years later, I realised, oh my God, I'll never get back in those places again.
Yeah. But you've
So,
been there, you've been there, done that.
We had youth on our side. And
Yeah.
you can get away with murder when you're youth.
Yeah.
So that was growing up music. I was in the Irish Transport and General Workers Union brass band as well.
Very good.
And then I'd go busking in Grafton Street. From when I was about 17, I was busking in Grafton Street. And then I got seen busking in Grafton Street by a guy called Mike Tovey, who had a band. He was called the Captain. And he had the Captain's Blues and Viper Jive Band. And that was playing every Sunday down in Daly's in Eden Quay.
Wow.
And he asked me, his trombone player was leaving to, Liam Stack, who is an actor, was leaving for London, and I got his position.
Wow.
And so from when I was 18, I was already in a proper jazz band doing paid gigs, like woohoo!
Okay.
Not enough to make a living, but I was
But that
already
was
a working
already
musician.
like
you know.
well on the ladder.
And so I got lucky, and from that point of view, it was a good place to grow up. I've a lot of things I didn't like about when I grew up in the 70s and in the 70s I grew up in Dublin, and I kind of look back on it as the dark ages. But
things have changed.
Music
Things have
kept me
changed
happy.
so much
Music kept me.
since.
Jesus, yeah.
It's
But
nothing.
music kept me happy. And that being said, when I finished, I went on and did university. And when I finished university, I couldn't leave fast enough. I still wasn't. I've grown to love Dublin again since.
Yeah.
I didn't love it then.
Yeah.
I went. It's a weird thing. When you come from maybe from your own hometown, you have a love-hate relationship. You know.
I think that can often be the case.
Yeah. So
and the love comes back later at a later
I've
stage.
definitely rediscovered it now.
Yeah.
My daughter went back and studied for 4 years in Dublin.
Right,
I used to go
right.
visit her an awful lot, and I have a good agent in Dublin, so I was working in Ireland.
Because I know you were working in Dalkey a lot.
I'm big in Dalkey.
And Clonakilty. Down in Clonakilty.
I'm big in Dalkey, and I'm big in Clonakilty, and I'm big in Derry. And I just have to fill in all the other places now, and then I can make a career in Ireland. Dalkey was cool. Dalkey's.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went back to visit my daughter a lot, and that reawoken my
Rekindled.
love of the city, and I actually love going back.
And
there.
isn't that a lovely feeling to rekindle the love?
Oh
where
yeah,
you've come
yeah,
from?
definitely.
Even though you love Paris, you're very much at home here.
I think it was to do with my schooling and everything else, and just it wasn't a happy place
At that particular
time for me.
I know,
Yeah, so I just had to go, and then once it did go, I blossomed
Yeah.
away from it. And then I was always wary of trying to go back because I'd be
I
afraid
know.
of not blossoming if I went back.
I
Whereas
know.
now, years later, in my 50s, I've been able to go back and find my place, and it's been
Yeah,
great.
and so you have your leg in both places, but not only in both places. When I was doing my research, I found out that Paddy actually sang a song in Hollywood. One of your songs was used for a Hollywood movie script. A Hollywood music
Okay,
script.
I didn't sing it in Hollywood. I sang
No.
it in Paris and recorded it in Paris.
And
but
it was used for a film
it was
in
used
Hollywood.
for a film.
Paddy, oh la la.
Ooh La La Paddy.
Oh la la, Paddy, can you imagine?
With Brisa Roche who was singing on
Exactly.
it. And she's a great
So,
singer. And that was used by an editor, a publisher got it into a movie.
into a top movie with
Yeah,
Selena.
yeah, absolute rubbish.
Yeah. So
teenage growing up movie or whatever, coming of age movie, that's the goal.
Exactly.
With Selena Gomez coming of age.
I was very
And,
amazed.
My song in the background for
How many?
32 seconds or something
But
like
how
that.
many other artists can say that? You're
Okay,
very
exactly,
humble. How many
exactly.
other artists can say that? Would you like to sing us a little song now,
Sure.
Paddy, to get
Sure.
the ball rolling?
So, you've had all musicians or writers on, or am I the first musician, or is it the
You're the
musicians?
first musician.
Okay.
Michael Coughlin will be at the very end of your
Okay,
concert.
okay.
and
Well,
then
explain-
we'll have an artist, and a poet, and we'll have a man who's written a fabulous prose.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool.
We'll have
Anyway,
another
first of
musician
all,
to sing
to you, Patricia, and to Desmond and everybody else, thanks a million for having me on. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, listen, can I interrupt you? Because
yeah,
there's
go.
somebody else we have to thank.
Oh!
Nora Hickey, the directrice of the Centre Culturel Irlandaise, who's kindly
My
welcomed
friend
us here.
Nora, who I'm not allowed to give a hug to.
Don't touch me.
I'm just going to move a little bit.
You don't know
so
where
we
I've
can see. Nora, thank you so
Not
much.
at all.
Thank you, Laura.
Delighted.
Thank you,
Hello,
Laura.
everybody.
It's just lovely that we're all here today. We have
Yeah.
we have other people at tables. Oh, you have Sean Byrne and Rebecca. Sean Byrne and Rebecca Devaney are sitting over here as well. Sean Byrne is Ireland's top fashion designer,
Oh, wow.
and Rebecca Devaney is Ireland's, well, the world over, top haute couture embroiderer. Can you
Wow.
imagine the company we're
Okay,
in?
you're very humble because I said, I do a bit of embroidery. Come on.
They're sipping champagne over
She
there.
does Beyonce's dresses.
Oh, for God's sake.
Dresses that
I took
sell.
there's me going, that's an art. And it was.
Dresses that sell for 200,000 a go.
Oh my God.
But
It's great again to say that Nora,
Enjoy.
Nora, thank you for having us, and it's great to be back at the CCI.
Yeah.
It's great just to even to visualise the CCI.
Isn't it fabulous?
We'll be open soon as well, so hope you'll all come back.
oh, we will.
Yeah.
For those of you who've never been to Paris, as someone who lives in Paris, just let me say the CCI, the Centre Culturel Irlandaise in Paris, is the best Centre Culturel in Paris. It's
In
the
the
Irish
world.
one.
In
The
the world, I'd
the
say,
world
probably.
probably. But it's
Definitely
just
in
so
Europe.
it's so beautiful. It's a big old building and a courtyard and room to make a theatre or an art gallery and everything else. It's just brilliant. It's a brilliant place.
Yeah.
So.
And Nora's very good to pop in because at the same time today she's got 40 people who are being serenaded by their favourite Irish artist. So she has all that going on.
We're just about to begin, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. We've people from all over the world who are clocking in.
Hi,
Brazil, Hungary, Turkey, Germany, everywhere.
Amazing.
So I'm going to leave you
Thanks,
and
Okay,
thanks for
enjoy.
coming over to
Keep
say hi.
enjoying
Thank you so
it.
much.
See you later.
And
We'll be joining her
bon-
for the party
bon-
afterwards.
Exactly. Bonne fête de la musique.
Merci, Nora.
Don't Fête de la Musique here. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Everybody,
Yeah.
it's the Fête de la Musique here in Paris.
Yeah,
So,
the Summer Music Festival for those in
Midsummer
Ireland.
Night.
Yeah.
So I was going to play you a song. I was going to just say to
Great.
people that I'm mainly a trombone player and a singer. So I have to accompany myself here on the guitar, but I'll be dropping the guitar from time to time. Patricia will be holding it for
I
me.
will, I will.
So I can get the trombone up and I'll be playing the trombone. So it might seem strange, but that's the way it goes, okay? If you want the full Monty.
If you want the full Paddy Sherlock experience, here it is.
Shoot it, did it, did it, boop, bear. Shoot it, did it, did it, boop, bear. Shoot it, did it, did it, bum, 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 bum. When I take my baby by the hand, I always have a cunning plan. I take her out to see my band, 'cause I want all her love, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're the guys who got the grooves, get her kicking up her hooves and helping me make all my moves, and I get all her love. Whoa, 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 whoa. Come on, boys, and get the tune right. We've been dancing in the moonlight, yeah. If it's grooving, play it hot, 'cause I love what my baby's got, and what she's got I love a lot, and I get all her love, yeah, yeah, yeah. Shoot it, da-doody, ba-doody, do-da. Shoot it, ba-doody, ba-doody, do-da. Shoot it, ba-doody, ba-doody, do-da, ba-doo, bum, 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 bum. So I take her to the club and feed her ice cream by the tub. And hey, what time's the music, bub? 'Cause I want all her love, yeah, yeah. Baby, she knows how to dance. She born with ants in her pants. She also knows how to romance, and I get all her love. Whoa, 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 whoa. Come on, boys, and keep up the action. Tonight I want a little satisfaction. Yeah, I've been paying all my dues, and when I'm about to blow a fuse, my baby comes and she blows away my blues, and I get all her love, yeah, yeah, yeah. Shoot it, ba-doody, ba-doody, doo-da. Shoot it, ba-doody, ba-doody, doo-da. Shoot it, ba-doody, ba-doody, doo-dee-doo. Bit of trombone now, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, now, shoot it, do-do-do, do-do-do, do-da. Shoot it, do-do-do, do-do-do, do-da. Shoot it, do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do. Oh yeah, if it's grooving, play it loud, and if it's funky, play it proud. Oh, for my baby, not this crowd, 'cause I get all her love. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We go dancing 10 to 4, and when I drop her at her door, she always asks me in for more, and I get all her love. Whoa, 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 whoa. Come on, boys, and keep it swinging. Ooh, yeah. Who knows what the night is bringing? Yeah. Oh, she got Pookie on her side. She don't come down just for the ride. I know how she loves her eggs fried, and I get all her love. Shoot it, ba-doody, ba-doody, doo-day. Shoot it, ba-doody, ba-doody, doo-day. Shoot it, ba-doody, ba-doody, doo-doo. I get all her love.
Woohoo!
Thank you. It's really nice. We got an audience here now,
It's
which we
lov-
weren't expecting, so that's
Yeah.
cool. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we have a real ambience going on here because we have our lovely audience. Now,
Yes.
just to get back to what we were talking about, I'm a little bit intrigued. Things were going so well in Ireland. Why on earth did you leave Dublin to come over to Paris and to busk in the metros?
I kind of
Can we
said
see-
that already.
Can we see
I
that?
finished university. I loved my university years. But one of my best friends who got an honours degree, I got a general degree. And I started in music, but I hated it. And after a few months, I negotiated leaving and told them, let me go and I'll never darken your door again. It was musicology, it wasn't playing music.
Yeah,
It was intellectual, awful stuff. And
but why Paris?
well, I'll get to that now in a second. I finished college. A friend of mine who got the honours degree said you only liked university because you were never there. So it was 3 years where I did loads and loads and loads of things. So it was really interesting, and I was flying around Dublin. I was playing gigs, and I was writing, and I was blah 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 blah. So that was happy. Then I got a job teaching, and it was a good job. But after about 6 months, I said, like, I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher in Dublin. And I was teaching English as a foreign language as well. So, which again, great job, well paid, nice people, but I didn't want to do it. But since I'd started doing that as a job, I realized, well, I can take this anywhere in the world. So I went into, what was it back then, where you went and you wanted a job? It's Manpower or something.
Manpower, exactly, yeah.
And I went to them, and it was the first year that you were entitled in Ireland to go anywhere in Europe and look for a job. Say, I'm unemployed, I want a job. They go, where do you want a job? And up to then you'd be saying like Rathfarnham or Rathmines or Ballyfermot or Finglas or whatever. But this time you could go, well, I'd like to go to Berlin or I'd like to go to Paris. So I said Paris. All my mates went to London. I went to Paris. There was something more romantic about Paris. And so I came to Paris. I had a job originally. The guy said, oh, you want to go to Paris? We have a lady in here looking for a teacher. So that's what I said about getting lucky. I walked in, I did the interview with the lady, and that was like Thursday, and then the next Thursday I was in Paris, and I was working in Sartreville, which is a suburb of Paris. That was funny because I was working for the town council, and it was a communist town council, and being from Rathfarnham with a nice middle class education, I'd never met a communist in my life before. And I realised they weren't all devils, and that they actually ran a really, really good town, and it was great crack. And the school I was in was great fun, and
Some of the communist mairies, they do
They
the
were great.
most to help
Oh, yeah, they were
artists
brilliant,
and
they were brilliant.
associations.
so I was
They're
working for
very
them,
gifted.
and unfortunately, I was working for an association which was paid by the town council. The town council went FN. A lot of the communist places moved, and they went extracted to the other extreme. They went to Front National, National Front. And the National Front, since we were teaching immigrants, just closed down our budget to zero overnight. So I lost my job. They placed me in a really good job teaching downtown in Paris, making loads of money. I hated it. I far preferred teaching out in the suburbs for the immigrants. So one day I was in and I just put the chalk down. I said, I won't be here next Monday. And I went out playing music, and that was it. Now, to say that, I'd already been playing music. I was when I first arrived here, I stayed at the Irish College. I stayed here in the Irish Cultural Centre. It was the Irish College back then.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
Liam Swords, Father Liam Swords was the guy, and he was cool.
Who was the producer of Ryark, the historic
Right.
programme
Okay.
on one of the main RT channels.
Okay, well, he's a good man.
A fantastic
And
man.
he was a very good man to me because, one, he let me stay here for a month, and I wasn't a priest, and there wasn't any particular reason I should be allowed to stay, but I was.
Right.
He said you can stay for a month. The very first Saturday, he said, especially because I also had a job, so they
Right.
weren't supposed to be putting people up who had jobs, kind of. It was supposed to be for
Right.
students and blah blah blah. So that's why I could only stay a month. So he let me stay the month. On the first Saturday, let's say I started Thursday, and I was having a cup of tea with him on Saturday. He goes, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know." And he goes, "Get your trombone out and go down and busk."
Yeah,
That's
good
what you're
for
here
him.
for. You're here to play music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I walked down to Notre Dame. I took my trombone and I started playing. And the first Saturday, I made 400 francs, which was loads of money back then.
Back then it was a fortune.
And I turned up, went out Sunday, another 400 francs. Turned up the next Saturday, making the same kind of money, and I had my eyes shut because I shut my eyes when I play. And I opened my eyes. In front of me, there's a guy with a guitar over his shoulder, and another guy with a double bass. And they're looking at me, watching me play. And after a while, they came over and they said, "Do you want to be in a band?"
Wow.
And
That's like a movie.
That's why I was saying, as I said, I got lucky. It turned out to be a lucky place. I got into the band. It was a busking band. It wasn't anything big, but it started me busking. And then when I stopped teaching, I busked, and I busked for a couple of years. And
Right.
back then, you could make a good living.
Right. Yeah.
And I busked in Paris because I was living in Paris. I busked in Nice. I busked
Right.
in Switzerland. We went and lived in Switzerland. And Switzerland, we used to call it the Elks, the Easy Living and Comfort Club.
Right.
Because it was ridiculous, like loads of money, and we used to live in hotels and
Yeah.
living the high life,
Living the high life.
playing out in the street.
I know. And then, Paddy, you went though from busking. You ended up becoming like one of the kings of the Paris left bank caves. So somewhere along the line, you had another lucky break, or I think you put in your own luck. I think
Okay.
you rolled up your sleeves. You're one of the most hard-working artists I know.
I got lucky, and maybe some of the luck comes from how you push yourself as well. Maybe you have to push yourself to get the luck. You have to open the door and go out and walk. You have to step through the door,
Right.
and then things will happen. If you step through the door, things
Right.
will happen. I'm a great adept of Julia Cameron, The
Right.
Artist's Way,
Yes,
and she says,
yes.
"Leap, and the net will appear."
Yeah.
And when I first read that, I hated her. I said, "Oh God, what a load
That's
of
a lot
rubbish!"
of effort.
Everything else- and when I read her book and I started applying it, and everything
Yeah.
else, there's a lot of truth in it.
There's lots of
If
truth
it's
in it.
it's about attitude, and it's about doing the work
Yeah.
and putting the hours in. So anyway, I put the hours in, and I got a phone call from a guy called Marco Prince, who had a band called FFF. I'd never heard of them back then.
Right,
I was very
right.
much in an English-speaking world
Right.
in Paris, Anglophone world,
Yeah.
living with Americans and hanging out with Irish and
Right.
Americans. So this guy phones me and he goes, "I need a trombone player. We need a
Right,
trombone player for our
right.
tour." At first I was kind of blasé and went, "Well, you know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of busy, blah, blah,
Yeah,
busy
yeah.
busking, okay?"
Yeah.
And I said to one of my other friends, I said, "Oh, you ever heard of FFF?" And he goes, "Yeah, why?" And I said, "Because they phoned me." He says, "You said yes." And I said, "No." And he says, "Phone them back now, phone them back." And they just won the Victoire de la Musique, which is like the
One of the highest.
it's the
yeah.
it's the music awards,
Exactly.
French music awards
French
for
music
best
awards.
album.
Yeah.
So they were looking for a trombone player to go on a 200-day tour.
What an adventure.
So I said yes.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'd said no to him first
Made you lucky for more
made
attractive.
him, yeah, exactly. He was going, "That fucker, I'm going to get him. I'm going
Yeah.
to get him."
Yeah.
And I again, touch wood, thank goodness, I just didn't have to audition. He just
Yeah.
decided it was me on my attitude.
Yeah.
And I've been with them now for
Yeah. Because
30-something years, knowing that we stopped for 15. But we did a comeback 4 years ago.
Excellent.
And
Yeah.
it worked brilliantly.
Yeah.
So we've
No,
been...
when-
And I've been writing with them for the new album and everything else. So.
Fantastic. Because when you talk about your personality and that, like people do really love you as a front man. People describe you as a showman extraordinaire. There is the musical side, but there is also that
Yeah.
Paddy Sherlock charm
Um,
and the attitude, the feistiness. And now, Paddy, I just want you to talk to one feisty lady,
Okay.
Sheila McNally,
Cool.
who's there.
I like feisty ladies.
Sheila was sick with COVID
Oh, dear.
and other sicknesses for 2 months, 2 months in hospital in Paris. And if you could dedicate the next song to Sheila, she'd be delighted.
Sure.
Would
okay.
you do that, Paddy?
Yeah. Sheila, or can we see her?
Sheila McNally, can we
Wave
see
to
her?
us.
I don't
Okay,
know.
your
we
screen's
can't-
not up, but we'll...
We can't.
At some
I'll
stage
try
you'll
and
see
get
her
her
and
on
go,
the
"That's
screen.
her." Okay.
So Paddy's going to
What's
come
my-
up with a song for Sheila Desmond, okay?
Okay, give me 1 second. I wrote a list and I want to kind of keep my best songs up. So, Sugar Cones. Okay, I'm going to do "Kill Me with Your Kiss."
That'll be
So
lovely.
here's a song off my last album. It's called "Kill Me with Your Kiss"
For Sheila McNally.
for Sheila McNally. Kill me with your kiss, Sheila.